Hi guys, Sai here, and welcome back to another technical Minecraft video. Oh, garbled my words a bit there. Today we're looking at higher systems than binary. Well, sorry about that. What I mean by this is, with the new comparators, not necessarily needing the new comparators, but it lets us look at a lot more than two states of redstone. We've been able to do this for a while, but the mechanisms for it have been very clunky and enormous, and I have some of those which I can always show you at some time. But this is going to be a little bit of a mini-series, a bit like the initial pyrotechnics one, which, by the way, I am running a 2.0 reboot of with the new fancy fireworks at some point in the near future. So we're going to pretty much run this until we run out of content, though it's going to be interspersed with other videos, so maybe one a week. Today, however, we're looking at extending the comparator, so we get all of the other comparisons that we might want, aside from just more than or equal to. And we're also going to look at the wire, and then next time we're going to look at some more fancy stuff. But first, let's lay a few ground rules. For colour coding convenience, we have two inputs, A and B. We can always add more if we need to, so light green is A and dark green is B. Then we have Q, which is the output, and you're wondering what, I don't use O because O looks very much like 0, and I'm using orange wool rather than red because the new redstone block features quite prominently, and they're easy to tell apart, but I don't want stuff getting confused at a glance. And then we have B, which is purple, and this is going to be our binary outputs as opposed to the Qs, which are in anything. They could be in hexadecimal, octal at the moment. Sometime later on we'll start defining stuff, but for the start we're going to work in pretty much any base you want. So first thing to look at is the signal transfer wire, and I don't suppose I need my crosshairs for this. It's really basic. You put redstone into a block, you get the comparator. This didn't work in snapshot 1A, but it does in 1B because you can now weakly power comparators from behind, not from the side though. So yeah, you can see what's going on here. I really don't need to build it for you. This is the simplest way of transferring signal. There is a larger but faster over distance way of doing it for any base you want specifically, but we'll get into that next time. And there is also an instant wire version which also only works in a specific base, and we'll do that next time. Now on to the comparators. So I suppose I should really build these. So here goes. Okay, you should always start out with the basics, and that's what we're going to do. Here we have, oh, whoops, not even getting this right. That's not a good start. A, if A is more than equal to B. And this is just the basic functionality of a comparator. If we input a signal into the rear, the side will stop it if the side is greater than it. So if A is greater than or equal to, we get a passage through. But it is A given out, not a binary signal. And this is now subtractor mode. You can't just get a strength 15 signal out of it, unfortunately. Anyway, moving on. Now, what if we want to look at A, where A is just greater than B, not greater than or equal to, just greater. So we want our inputs like this time, and then blocks here, a block here, and sticky piston, facing towards us, hold block, output here, and then we want to put down comparators here, here, inputs here and here, and output here. So now if we just get out a redstone block to test this, if A is greater than B at the moment, it passes. If A is equal to B, the piston extends because this signal in the side is not great enough to block the signal from the rear of this comparator. So it extends the piston here, and that cuts off the signal to the output, which is pretty neat. Just to show this definitely works, we can extend these. It's fairly basic, but you know. A is greater than B in this configuration, equal to, less than. And we only get it when it's greater than. Okay, so moving on again. Okay, so it's not too much of a stretch to invert the one we had last time, which would give us less than or equal to. All we have to do is move the piston away one, and now it will only allow signal transfer when this comparator on the B line is on, which would mean that A was less than or equal to it. So yeah, again, if we extend these just to demonstrate. Oh, there goes my automatic daylight timer. I love that new daylight sensor. Right, so here we go. They're equal to, it transfers A. A is less than it transfers A. A is more than it doesn't. Okay, so for the final gate, we have A if A is less than B. And for this, we want blocks set up like so, and output here. And we just have a comparator here. This one's a little bit unstable. It will flash onto A possibly at the start of some times, but that needs to be in subtractor mode this time. And if you can see, what is happening here is if A is greater than B, or greater than or equal to B, this comparator will be on, which will transmit A into this block, into this redstone wire, and into this comparator, which will subtract A from A, which always gives you 0. So yeah, this is only on if A is less than B. Now, why did we need 4 gates here? Why couldn't we just have done 2 and inverted them? Well, we could, but the inverter for a signal is quite large, much larger than the difference in gates. So it's actually, technically all you need is 1 gate. Oh no, you'd needed 2 gates. Because we're not transmitting just a binary output, we are transmitting one of the inputs. So yeah, you could have done it with 2, but I wouldn't suggest it. And you could have switched the inputs over for the other 2 possibly, but yeah. Never mind. Moving on, we have another couple of gates which is similar to these but give a binary output. Okay, since we're using binary outputs this time, we get to use torches and repeaters, which is really nice. So, this is the gate for A is more than... Actually, saying that, we put the input there, can't we? A is more than B, or more than or equal to, sorry. Okay, so that's it for A is more than or equal to B, and the reason we've got a torch here is because if B is 0, then A is always more than or equal to B, because A can't be less than 0, at least not in the... I suppose we're working with the natural numbers here. We're in Z16. No, sorry, N16 even. But yeah, never mind that. So yeah, here you have the more than or equal to, and if we want the less than gate, we just invert the output. It's as simple as that, because the opposite of more than or equal to is less than. Now, for the other binary gates, we've got inputs from the side this time, though they don't have to be, technically. This is taken, well, it's derived from something I saw on Reddit, which is really pretty neat idea. But we have comparators coming in. We could use that as the input technically, but yeah, comparators coming in here, and then that needs to be B, I believe. Well, it doesn't really matter, does it not? Here, here, and output here. So this is A, well no, it's not A if A more than B. This is just A is more than B. So if A is more than B, we've got an output. If A isn't more than B, that shouldn't have... Oh, sorry, this needs to be in subtractor mode. My bad. But yeah. Now, A is more than B, we get an output. A is equal to B, we don't get an output. and if B is more than A, we don't get an output. And the reason for this is this comparator is powering this block, which puts B's signal into both sides of this subtractor, so we get 0 whenever B is on, or whenever B is anything. However, if A is more than B, A inputs its signal here, and this will be greater than B's input to here, so this will take the highest value, and it will mean that this subtractor gets a really low value. And yeah, so that sends it through. Technically this is doing A minus B, but anyway. And yeah, again, if you wanted the inverse of A is more than B, which would be A is less than or equal to B, you could do that. So I think we'll just leave it like that for the moment. Yeah, so that is all 6 of the logic gates. I will probably not put this world download up in the description, just because, while I normally do that, with it being like the Pyrotechnics mini-series, there is obviously other stuff here which I'm still working on. But I will put schematics for all of the gates, and oh, we've missed one. I'm so sorry. Okay, the last gate is a bit more complicated than the others, sorry about that. Being that for some reason you wouldn't think it, but equals is by far the hardest of the operations to perform. Let's see. So what we have here are an A minus B gate that we saw before, and a B minus A gate, in no particular order, because you can put the inputs on whichever side you like. And then, oh, yeah, of course, forgot to set them to comparators, to subtract mode rather. That is kind of handy. And so, if we put our redstone here, this joins them up. And if we put comparators here, and a block here, and an output here, just in non-binary at the moment. So this is now going to show the largest of A minus B and B minus A. From here on, there's 2 ways you can do this. Either you build it like this, yep, just like this, and a couple of blocks and comparators, and then you can have your inputs here staggered like so. Okay, so that's one way of doing it, and this is much smaller than the other way of doing it, and it still gives you your binary outputs. So if we have a repeater here, the repeater will show A is not equal to B, and if we put a torch on the side here, for some reason you can't click blocks off as fast from your inventory in the new snapshots. And that will give us A is equal to B, which of course it is at the moment because they're both 0. And if we just demonstrate this, when they're not equal, this one's on. If we give B an input, it goes back to the original, and if we turn this one off, we get not equals again. Obviously you could use this as an XOR gate, but it would be a really stupid thing to do since they're much smaller versions, sorry, but right, so that's alright for this configuration, but we can give this so much more functionality if we build it in a different configuration. So let's do that now. Oh, actually, keyboard macros for the win. So if we build it like this, with our inputs coming from the side here, like so, with one input over here and the other input over here, doesn't really matter which direction. Now the gate has the same functionality for its binary outputs, but its non-binary output is a lot more impressive at this point, because now, I think we'll actually extend these out to show you. it's same length. And extend the output so that we can see what's going on. Always a nice output for these is if you just put redstone lamps beside them, because sometimes it's a bit hard to tell the difference between states of redstone. So if we now go like this, let's say put them equal, but not equal to 0. So yeah, you see we get 0. Now let's move one block by one. One lamp on. And if we put them 2 apart, 2 lamps on. Say 4 apart, 4 lamps. And yeah, you get what's going on here. We now have a difference gate, which is pretty useful in a lot of situations. So this is the, I suppose technically you could call it the absolute value of a minus b, which would be the biggest. So making it positive, but basically it's saying if a is bigger than b, then give a minus b, and if a is less than b, give b minus a. And yeah, so this is pretty handy. If you just want equals though, it's probably better to use the other configuration because it's a lot smaller. So yeah, that concludes, I believe, the first episode of this Beyond Binary series, mini-series I suppose I should call it, since it's not going to be a long-running thing. Next time, yeah, we're going to look at more forms of wiring, we're going to look at the modulus gate, and possibly even addition, as well as inversion and a couple of other things. Oh, just before we go today, I wanted to say thank you to all of you awesome people who've got me over 200 subs. That feels good, man. Yeah. And thank you in specific to CubeHamster, Doc Redstone, and Mumbo Jumbo, or that Mumbo Jumbo, because I realise you guys have been a huge part of helping me to that. So yeah, thank you to everyone, and I suppose goodbye and have a nice day. See ya.